If you or your team is consistently putting out fires, missing deadlines, or scrambling to figure out who's responsible for what, let me tell you, you're not alone. And the worst is, most MSPs are great at fixing tech, but they're horrible at managing work like projects, right? And that can be a variety of different things. But the truth is, you don't need a project manager, a fancy chart, or anything like that. You need a simple way to be effective in your work. And that's what we're covering in this video. In this video, I'm going to show you how to run your MSP like a project manager. I have a good bit of a project management experience in the MSP Heroes membership. We have a project manager coming on very, very soon to teach a full training on project management. But I want to give you the meat and potatoes of what to do, how to get out of this crisis mode and get more into running your MSP the way it should actually be ran. How are you doing? My name is Harrison Barron from growth-generators.com. We help MSPs grow with teaching you how to sell your services, teaching you how to create an unlimited number of inbound leads, and also a lot of operations, whether that's figuring out what you should be doing, creating standard operating procedures, or just providing guidance to keep you going. Before I get into today's video, if you want to check out our website at growth-generators.com, we have programs, more services with even more coming very, very soon. And most importantly, the resources that we actually provide. There's a ton of resources in there, onboarding checklists, which I'll leave down below, battle cards, acronym cheat sheets, objection handling worksheets that you can go through, learn, and get very, very good at handling objections. Once again, growth-generators.com/resources. So let's talk about why this actually matters, right? Why does managing all of the work that's going on and getting out of the putting out fires all the time scenario? Funny enough, I was a fireman for 10 years, but we put out fires then, and you need to put out fires for your business. Chaos kills trust, right? And without structure, small mistakes can quite literally lead to monster disasters. And chances are pretty good it's not that your team's lazy. I would actually argue to say that your team is probably extremely hardworking. They probably wouldn't earn a seat at the bench if they weren't. But here's the problem, and I've seen this quite literally firsthand when I worked in my first MSP. It's that the problem is they are confused. They don't have a clear idea of what tasks, deadlines, and there's nothing tracking everything. Things eventually fall through the cracks. And believe it or not, statistically speaking, and I've talked to tons of MSPs across the world, this is not like a US based thing or an Australia based thing or anything like that. But statistically, from what I found, you have way more likely of creating a project and it actually not being profitable. Now, you think it's profitable. You're like, well, I just sold this project for $20,000. And maybe it's $15,000 of hardware and $5,000 of work. But by the time you actually get down to the nitty gritty, you're probably breaking even or even losing money on that project. You have to start thinking about projects in a different scale and more so how to scale them effectively. So I'm going to be mentioning some tools here and I'll leave links down below. But let's talk about what is project management specifically when it comes to MSPs, right? We have to strip away the jargon and we have to think, we have to plan the work, we have to sign it, track it, and close it. That's quite literally what it boils down to. And that's the most important thing, right? Think about it. You know your day to day, right? Probably better than anybody else. But in many cases, people seem to fumble when it comes to things like onboarding, right? You might mess up your onboarding on a new client. Don't get me wrong, I have been in those shoes too. And let me tell you, it is not fun messing that up. I get it. You might even mess something up, something as simple as migrating from one firewall to another and you overlook something. It could even be something as simple as patch management, which I hope that you do correctly. But there's always things that consistently go wrong. And the problem there is the consistency part. They're consistently going wrong. Doesn't matter when it's happening, but they are going wrong. It's inconsistent in service. And my goal for you is to turn your customers into actual raving fans. That's the most important thing about all of this. And your people, your customers, are not going to become raving fans if they feel like you're kind of doing a bit of a guessing game or you drop the ball somewhere. So I want to give you a quick little MSP project framework. And I've had a great conversation with my buddy. I said, hey, I want to make a video. Can you give me some golden nuggets here? Because you are an expert. He's a certified project manager. He's actually a certified trainer for project management. And I am the messenger, and I've had a lot of experience with project management myself. So, number one is, you probably guessed it, we have to scope it out. No matter what it is, we have to look at the scope of work. This could be the goal, or this should be the goal, the timeline, and the deliverables. Those are the most important things. You want to avoid gray areas that are going to ultimately lead to what's called scope creep. It's when you're like, well, I'm going to do this. And then it's like, well, it's kind of a part of it. And I'll just keep adding this on. And okay, it's kind of touches that. And you keep including things. And you want to use either a checklist that you can make yourself, grabbing a checklist or a template from somebody else, or just creating a simple document. That's really it. There's nothing crazier than that. After you do all of that, and even if you're a one-man show and you're like, Harrison, I'm a one-man band, I'm going to do it all. I get it. I get it. But I am, or was, a one-man band. And let me tell you, you're gonna miss things. I'm pretty darn organized for the most part, and I work insanely fast. You are going to miss things. Number two, you have to assign roles. You have to name those people and what roles that they are actually going to be doing. I assume in many cases, you watching this video are probably going to be taking the lead, but at some point, you may not be taking the lead. We never want to assume. Right? When we learn, or back when the day when I learned originally CPR, right? The first thing that they tell you is to delegate somebody to call 911. Right? That is literally, and if you're CPR certified, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Right? You specifically in the red shirt, called 911. You have to delegate that task. You, in many cases, are going to be the one taking the lead. Now, you can also delegate that person. You might have a project manager at some point, and in which case they take the lead on everything. But you have to designate somebody. You can't assume people are going to take the initiative. People are naturally lazy. I know. That's a shocker to most people, but it's a true statement, right? By the way, if you're enjoying this video, like, subscribe, notify. I would truly, truly appreciate it. But we want to delegate all of the tasks. That could be to one specific person. That could be to a group of people. That could be everything from prep work, installing, testing, client follow-up. It doesn't particularly matter, but we have to delegate those tasks to somebody. We can never assume that one person is going to be the end-all, be-all. Now, in most cases, you can use tools like, and I'm going to share my screen here because I know we all like tools. You can use Asana, you can use ClickUp, you can use Monday.com. By the way, Monday.com and ClickUp have completely free plans. I don't know about Asana. Asana has a free plan as well. Pick your poison, whatever you prefer. ClickUp and Monday.com are very rainbow-fied, I guess. They just have a ton of color. Asana's a little bit more monotone. Personally, in my opinion, they're all great. I've used all of them. Pick the one that fits your flavor, right? That's really the goal. But inside of there, you can create milestone dates, start, review, go live, all of those important things. You're going to have to do them anyway. Even simple as something as a 3-step job should have a timeline. A happens, then B happens, then C happens, right? Now, in the fire service, where I spent a lot of my years and learning, right, we have a bunch of different things that happen, right? We have a process that we go through, right? In the volunteers fire service on Long Island, you would get a text message or a notification on your pager. You'd go down to the firehouse, you'd put on your gear, you'd get in the rig. When you get in the rig, the first person there is when the actual thing starts. Obviously, we're listening to people from 911. But we do what's called a scene size up. We have to see what's going on first. That way, the person in charge, right, can then delegate, hey, I want you to start here, or hey, I see this. This is how we need to attack this problem, right? These are things that actually happen in the real world. Every well-ran organization has this. Doesn't matter if it's fire department, police, military, corporate executives, all of it has the same process. There's just less stress that goes on in some of those, right? But we also have to make sure that we have that because people need to be accountable, right? Once again, people aren't just going to say, give me all of the problems, right? You have to have a series of people involved. And in many cases, in the fire service, the person that shows up first is either the chief or an officer. They do a scene size up and they delegate their crews where they see fit, right? That's the most important part about it. We do it just without paper in some cases, but it is important to have it on paper. So you remember it, right? This is not 911. Now, next, you have to track the progress. This is the most important thing because this is going to help you become way more profitable in the long term, but also so things don't fall through the cracks, right? We have to track the progress across the board. And you're going to use boards like Asana, ClickUp, Monday.com, and there's a bunch more. There's Basecamp and truly so many others. They all do essentially the same thing. It's just picking your flavor. I've used ClickUp for a long time. I'm thinking about switching away from ClickUp maybe to Monday or Asana, and I've used Asana as well and Monday.com, but I've used ClickUp the most extensively. Asana is pretty popular in the programming world as well, by the way, and you may have experience in whatever project management tool that you decide to use. Pick your flavor, but you have to use it. You have, and some PSAs even come with this, but it is important to at least update it as often as possible, at the bare minimum weekly, even if no work gets done. Just, hey, no work happened this week, boom, logging it. Just like you tell your technicians, hey, if you don't put a ticket in, it didn't happen. It also helps people see visibly what work is getting done, what work is being stuck on, what work is being duplicated, and it's easy to bring the team together and just hold a quick little check-in for projects. It doesn't have to take more than 5 minutes, but hey, if it's not tracked, if it's already late, you just need to know. It's important. Obviously, once again, it's not a 911 situation. But we are trying to create raving fans. I used to give my project manager the most detailed write-ups, phases, and all that, and I would hand it right to him and say, hey, this is quite literally everything that you need to know in the phases that I guess that they should happen in. And then him and I would work out together. He's still a great friend of mine. I talk to him all the time. And we would go through the project step by step by step. And then guess what we would do? We would build the tickets, ticket by ticket by ticket by ticket, and have them be completed in time, right? That's the most important part. And last but not least, we want to make sure that we review and close those tickets. Now, in many cases, you may be doing this out of your PSA or your RMM if they're combined, right? But it's important to be able to go through and review what's happening, how it happened, and even if things didn't go right in a certain phase, you have to go through and do a debrief when you review all of it. Hey, this is all the work that's been done. Let's do a 5-minute debrief. Now, once again, fire service, we spent usually a lot longer than that. What happened, the scenario, all that kind of stuff. Who did what, why they did that, and even if it was a good, everything went smoothly, it's still important to do a brief debrief. In many cases in your MSP, it's going to be questions like, did you meet the timeline, right? What worked, what didn't work? What would we change for the next time we have a project like this? And you want to log these lessons. Now, in many cases, you're going to have a checklist that you go through for things that you do regularly. Onboarding is a prime example. Shout out to our completely free download at growth-generators.com/resources. There is an onboarding checklist in here. I'm just looking for it. There it is. Free onboarding checklist, completely free. You don't have to pay for it. I will leave the links down below. But it's important. You have to go through and do a debrief. And the more you do that and the more you learn and understand, you can iterate to have the perfect process. Doesn't mean things are always going to go perfectly, but at least you know it's the process that your MSP can follow and repeat. So every single client has the exact same experience, right? It's just like McDonald's all around the world. You can get a cheeseburger. I don't even know what their food is, but you can get a cheeseburger on Long Island. You can get a cheeseburger in California, in China, in France. It's all the exact same. It's the exact same process. It should taste the exact same across the board. And that's the most important part, right? They might not get it right 100% of the time, but it's the exact same product, as close to being the same as possible across the board. And as crazy as it sounds, that's what you want for your MSP when it comes to projects, when it comes to onboarding, even when it comes to, believe it or not, offboarding your clients. These are important things to understand and to know so that way you can become a better MSP. So, like I said, I want to give you a couple tools. I'm just going to talk a little bit more about them here. We have Asana being the number one, right? Where your team, and they just started rolling out AI like late last year, if I remember correctly. Truly a fantastic product. It's extremely common to see it in the programming world, and it's honestly it's a great thing to use. You also have ClickUp. It's super flashy, and they all have apps at this point. It's super flashy. You can do dark mode on here. You can do light mode on here. You can I would even argue to say that ClickUp might be a little overkill, and you can set up your workspace, right? So tasks, you have chats, AI if you want to ask AI, a calendar that you can attach things to, time tracking if you want to, sprints, all of that good stuff is all baked into this program. And then Monday.com, right? You probably see ads. I saw ads like crazy for the longest time, but it literally has one for IT. And you could use this too for your marketing, for your design, all that to keep track of these things. And they all have a free version. I want to check that because they didn't always all have a free version at one point. But here you have software, right? Ready, start, in progress, CRM, which I do not recommend using Monday as a CRM. But if you absolutely have to, go for it, right? Obviously, I'm a big fanboy of Go High Level. Tasks, marketing, all of those things. It's important to have that, but find what works for you. These are great starter scenarios. It's up to you to take them, make them better. Trello's another one now that I'm thinking about it. Trello. I'll pull it up on the screen here. Trello's another fantastic one as well. You can use Trello. I've used Trello. They're also owned by Atlassian. I think Asana was owned by Atlassian at some point. But you have a Trello board as well. They're all about the same thing. It's right, creating tasks and moving them across the board to get a better idea of what's actually happening. And when you do this, you do it over and over and over again. You can build templates in here that will make your life easier. And if you're still like Harrison, I don't want another tool, even if it's free, use a whiteboard then. I don't know what to tell you, but it is important. I want you truly to build an MSP of your dreams. Now, I do want to give you a couple things to avoid making mistakes on. Some of these I have had to learn the hard way, the school of hard knocks, and other times they were delivered to me in messages that didn't make me feel warm and fuzzy inside, right? Write down the plan. I know it sounds crazy, but if somebody is giving you a verbal scope, right, it doesn't work. It has to be in writing. Just like if it's not a ticket, it doesn't exist. Next, letting a quick thing, or it just takes 5 minutes, job slide, right? Quick job, quick project, whatever it is, they cause the most problems in your business. They are the biggest thorns in the side possible. Next, communicate with your clients. Clients understand. Everyone in the world understands. Projects are never going to go according to plan. It's nice when they do, but the vast majority of projects, I would argue to say, never go according to plan, right? Think about how many times you drive around, you're like, they're still doing road work. Trust me, that wasn't in the plan, right? It is important. The most important thing is to be just open and clearly communicating with your customer. Even if you think in your gut that you're like, this one's going to sting, it's better to let that customer know than keep them in the dark. Trust me. I promise you it'll make your life a lot easier. And if you haven't done it 100 times over, treat every job, every project, every time you interact with a customer, or not interact, but every time you bring on a new customer inside of a business that you've never been in, you should treat it 100% as from scratch. You could take a template and modify it. But if you're doing a project that you've never actually done before, sit down, spend the 10, 20, 30 minutes building out the project, fully understanding what can go wrong, what might go wrong, what could fall through the cracks, and fully lay it out. And then assign those subtasks, because trust me, I have seen so many people that are like, I'll just follow the process. And let me tell you, especially in the fire service, when you're like, it's just a standard fire. It's never standard. Every single interaction is completely unique in its own way. You have to be able to pivot and move and train and practice for all of them. It's the same in your MSP. I promise you. But you have to treat every single job, every single task, every single project, but until you've done it tons and tons of times, as a This is a unique thing. We should go through, spend the time and energy, because if you fail to plan, this was ingrained to me as a Boy Scout until I became an Eagle Scout, and I still talk about it with my Eagle Scout friends. If you fail to plan, plan to fail. It is the worst thing in the world. It was ingrained in my brain from the beginning when I was a wee little Cub Scout. If you fail to plan, you are planning to fail. And I don't want you to fail, which is why I make these YouTube videos. And I love the heck out of you. So if I could earn that like now, that subscribe button, that notification, love the heck out of you guys. Videos will be back. All right, I'm done on vacation. I'm writing. I probably said something a little too much, but I'm writing a book. Shh. I love you guys. As always, check out the Discord, growth-generators.com/Discord. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.